Hey everyone, it's Bea, and you're listening to another episode of the In Your Feelings podcast. So, for those of you who are new here, In Your Feelings is a podcast I created with Thought Catalog, and it dives into the very real and very messy aspects of life that we are all navigating together. I create these episodes just to have honest conversations about things like relationships and moving on and worthiness, things that can feel really disheartening and really confusing, in the hopes that these episodes make you feel less alone and that they remind you that you aren't the only person who is dealing with certain things in life. Okay, so today is Mother's Day, and in light of Mother's Day, I wanted to create an episode based around all of the things my beautiful mother taught me about life. My mother is no longer with us. Last January, she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and she fought like hell, but unfortunately, she ended up losing her battle last November. Today is Mother's Day, but it is also 6 months to the date that she passed away. And so I wanted to really honor all of the things she taught me, not just when she was in her prime or was, helping me to grow up in my youth, but I also wanted to honor all of the things that I learned when I was talking with her and when I was kind of just diving into the heart of her as she was dealing with this very, very difficult journey of hers. There were so many beautiful pieces of wisdom that she just begged me to remember, that she said, "Bea, I need you to remember that, you have to live life this way, or these are the things that I regret, and I don't want you to have those same regrets. So just change and be this person and see life as this beautiful, big, incredible thing." She would have these conversations with me, and I wrote so much down from her. I have journals full of lessons that she gave me in the last year of her life. And so I wanted to put everything together, and I wanted to honor that today. And I understand, however, that not every single person in this world has been as lucky as I have been to have a parent that showed up for them that way. And, my mother held all of my broken pieces back together, and she inspired me beyond words. She always encouraged me and loved me for who I was. She was known for doing this, however, with all of our friends. She became a beacon of light for so many human beings in this lifetime, a shoulder to lean on, and everyone knew that they could count on her. And so in a way, this is me allowing for her to continue doing that. This is me putting her heart into the world in the hopes that it helps you to feel loved today, or inspired today, or encouraged within the lessons that you're learning today too. Okay, so the first lesson my mom always tried to impart on me was that your looks are the least interesting thing about you. And I know that in this day and age, we tend to associate beauty with goodness or worthiness or value. But at the end of the day, I've learned that you can be the most beautiful human being in a room. But if your energy is off, it truly doesn't matter. You still have so much work to do. And you have to trust me when I say that you are so much more than your appearance. And I know it can be difficult to believe that when you're living in an age of comparison. I know it can be difficult to believe that in an age that sometimes makes you think that you have to be perfect in order to be loved. But my mom taught me that real love was soul. Attraction, that's flesh. That's weightless. It isn't impressive to turn a head or to turn someone on. What's impressive is being able to inspire someone. What's impressive is being able to connect. You really have to learn how to take care of your mind and take care of your heart. It's what people are going to remember about you. And one of my mom's biggest hurdles in life was always dealing with wanting to be smaller and skinnier for those around her. She really, really struggled with that. But at the end of the day, not one person loved her for the way her body looked. Not one person stood and shook my hand at her funeral and said, "Your mom changed my life because she was just so skinny." But they did stand beside me and hug me and tell me that my mom did the same for them. And they did tell me that my mom's presence, that her soul, that the way in which she crashed her heart into those people she met, that is what lasted with them. That is the legacy she left. It was all soul. It had nothing to do with what she looked like. And so now I want you to think about all of the people you care deeply for in life, and all of the human beings who have affected you or changed you or grown you. Think about all of the people who have made you feel seen, the people who have made you laugh from deep within your belly, the people who have left you with memories you have tucked into your heart, the people who have left you with the kind of feeling that sticks to your bones. Think about all of the people you cherish, all of the people you want by your side, all of the people who make you feel safe and grounded and foolishly curious and happy in a bewildering way. And now think about how you didn't associate any of those moments or feelings or memories with what they looked like. They didn't affect you because they were good looking. They touched you and inspired you because they were good people. That's the first lesson I have for you. Focus on being yourself. Focus on sharing your heart with the world. That is what holds weight when it's all said and done. People will forget about the clothes you wore. They will forget about who you were externally. They will. I'm sorry, but they will. But they will remember what you taught them and what you made them feel. Because that is truly, truly what real beauty in life is. So my second lesson that my mom imparted on me was that you cannot love someone into loving you, and you cannot love someone into being ready. And this is something that she would say when I came to her with my heart all broken and smashed into pieces. And these are the things she would say to me when people weren't able to choose me, or when I felt like I cared too deeply, or like I loved too much, or that if I was just enough of this or enough of that, someone would actually stay. My mother would always remind me that not everyone you feel something deep and meaningful with in life is going to be ready to hold your heart. So if you are in love with someone who cannot love you back at the moment, I really want you to understand that this isn't a reflection of your goodness or your worth. And that was a really hard lesson for me to learn. And it must have been hard for her, but she taught me it so beautifully. Sometimes life really does just weather people in different ways. We are all on this earth trying to figure ourselves out, just trying to mend the breaks in our souls, just trying to deal with what is heavy or confused within us. And sometimes we're ready and another person isn't. And sometimes we try and another person doesn't. And sometimes we pour ourselves into another human being and they cannot contain all that we are. And sometimes we fight and another person surrenders. Sometimes we choose to make things work and another person decides that they can't choose that same reality, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, if someone doesn't meet you where you are, you just can't keep asking them to do so. If someone can't reciprocate your love, if someone cannot give you what you truly, truly deserve, you have to understand that aching for them to do so before they are ready is a form of self-destruction. Your heart is a vast and tender thing. You can't keep trying to shrink it into what someone else needs. You can't keep pouring your love into a soul that has not opened their eyes to all that they are receiving. You cannot keep pouring your love into a heart that is closed off to it. It will only ever leave you empty. You have to walk away. You have to let this person grow on their own terms, because you cannot love someone into their potential. As my mom always said, you cannot love someone into being ready. They have to do that on their own. And within this lesson, my mom would always remind me that it was okay to find that kind of letting go difficult, to lay down all of your hope, to let go of all of the potential you see in someone. It's hard to close your heart off to all of the beauty it sees in another human being. But in walking away, you learn how to pour all of that love that you were giving to the wrong person back into yourself. And you learn how to pour it into all that you desire in life, into your growth and your art and your hope. You learn how to stand up for your feeling, how to stand up for its value. And when you teach yourself that you deserve to be loved, without having to beg for that love and without having to chase that love down, you open yourself to the kind of beauty that chooses you just as freely as you choose it. You open yourself to the kind of people who see you and immediately know that you are a rare and beautiful thing. You open yourself to new beginnings, to a future that unfolds in ways that don't hurt or break you down, but rather build you up and show you just how worthy you are of having your heart held. So it's important to walk away. It's important to let go. It's important to understand that there is nothing more you can do for someone if they simply are just not ready. And that brings me to my next point. Your person is going to be your person for life. You have to make sure that you have someone by your side who loves you in your dark days just as much as your light ones. And this lesson was one of the lessons that I learned later in my mother's life. My parents chose one another every single day, not just when life was shiny and beautiful, and not just when they were young and had no issues and it was easy to fall in love with the beauty and the joy of youth and ease and calm that exists in the world when life hasn't exactly started to weather you. My parents chose one another, and when they did start to experience hardship, when they did start to struggle, they still chose one another. They were a team if I had ever seen one. They had like foundational love, deep love. It wasn't skinny love, it was nourished. It was something they both walked into and continued to believe in even when things got difficult. So when my mother got sick, that's when this lesson truly hit home for me. I saw my father meet her where she was. I saw the way she reached for him when she was scared. Those simple and small moments where you notice the love two people share. I saw it in so many ways as he tried to take care of her. Just knowing he was in the same room calmed her. He slept by her side every single night when she was in the hospital. For 1 year, he waited on her. He made her comfortable. He carried her down the stairs when she couldn't walk anymore. He learned everything he could in order to ensure that he could take care of her, that she didn't have to suffer. He fought so hard for her. So fucking hard for her. Excuse my language, but there is no way to fully express how hard he fought for her without saying it like that. He didn't give up once. He did not turn his back on her. And I saw how much she appreciated that. I saw how much it softens a person in a way to really connect with the fact that they're loved. Loved unconditionally, pragmatically. How much it means when someone stays. And he was there with her when she passed away. He held her and calmed her and really made sure that she felt his love. He really made sure that she wasn't alone, and she knew that. So please know that you deserve that. You deserve someone who shows up for you in that way. And someone who doesn't value you or respect you right now, someone who questions you or makes you feel like your heart is too much right now, when things are relatively easy, when things are relatively simple in life, just know that they are not your person. You need someone who stands firmly in front of you and knows that they want to care for you, knows that they want to make you a place in their heart, because that is the kind of certainty and love that lasts. That is the kind of love that sits by your side for a year if you get sick. That is the kind of love that sleeps in a chair in the hospital when you're getting your tests done because they just don't want to leave your side. That is the kind of love that holds your hand and makes sure that you know that you are not alone. So please wait for it. It exists. If anything my mother taught me, it is that you are capable of being loved that way. So wait for it. And I think this leads me really nicely into my next point, which is be the person who cares. Have the courage to love deeply and differently. My mother always said, if you want to know how to change the world in even the smallest of ways, here's how. Every single day, just be the person who cares. Be the reason why someone else believes in the goodness of people. Give people that faith. So I hope you have the courage to keep loving deeply in a world that sometimes fails to do so. In a generation that orders up attention like we order up a meal, and a generation that has started to love with one foot out the door, I hope you have the courage to believe that genuine connection still exists. And I hope you have the courage to stand up for that, to open yourself to it when you start to feel it within you. I hope you have the courage to appreciate it for all that it is. I hope you have the courage to crash your heart into the people life gifts you. I hope you have the courage to believe that goodness still exists, and that there are those who have the capacity to love the way you do, that there are those who will see you and grow you and teach you more and more about the world. I hope you have the courage to fight for connection. I hope you have the courage to go deeper, to never exist on the surface of your life, even if it's easier or more convenient. At the end of the day, you should leave this world with a heart that is worn out and soft all over, with a heart that is bruised from loving and feeling and caring in the best way possible. At the end of the day, you should be proud of your inability to be anything but open to the world. You should be proud of who you are and how you showed up. You should know that you cared with conviction, that you never let the things that hurt you in life turn you into someone you weren't, that you always chose to follow your heart. Okay, so the next point is simple and straightforward, but it is something my mother just continuously said. Whenever she saw my sisters or I pull out our phones when we were in a moment, she would always try to remind us, real life exists outside of your phone. Real life is so much more interesting than anything you will see on social media. So put down your phone and pick up your head and be present with the human beings you spend your life with. Be present with yourself. Be present with the world around you. And don't forget to live because you think you're living through your phone. Real life is so much more than that. Real life is the feeling you get when you support your friends and see them doing the things that make their cells dance. And real life is 8 a.m. wrapped within the limbs of someone who makes your stomach feel like it's buzzing with an electric kind of happiness. You know that feeling? That feeling is just incredible. And real life is kissing your mother's face and hearing about the first time she saw your father. Real life is sitting with yourself in all of your depth and all of your decay and not distracting your mind from all that is seeking to be felt within you. Real life is gritty, it breaks you down, and it's meant to weather you in the most beautiful and meaningful ways. But you will miss all of that if you are looking down. So always choose to look up. My mom would always say, "You're not choosing to look up right now." So take that advice. Always choose to look up. Always choose to be present. All right, so that brings me to my next point, which is a hard one. It was a really difficult one for me to learn, but my mom would always say, "You can do hard things." My mother was so headstrong in this. She always made sure that I grew up knowing that I was capable of setting myself free from any boundary or any pain or any darkened circumstance. She always made sure to remind me that I was strong enough to weather the storms, that I was capable of saving myself no matter what. And I know, it can be difficult to hear things like that when you're genuinely trying to navigate so much hardship and you're in the weeds of life, as they say. When life is heavy and dark and you truly don't believe that you will come out on the other side of your grief or your hardship, it can be difficult to get out of that mindset. But you always do survive. You always make it through. And that's the thing. There's no way to give you a guideline or to tell you that you have to do it a certain way. There's no way to perfect the journey. You just have to keep moving forward within it. And some days you will take 5 steps forward and then 10 steps back, but that is still movement. That is still growth, and that is still progress. At the end of the day, you can do hard things. You can overcome. You can have hard conversations. You can bet on yourself, and you can prove your doubt wrong. You can turn every single loss you have ever experienced into a lesson. You can shape yourself from the debris. Losing my mother taught me that I can do hard things. And not because I was so strong and so unaffected, not because I wasn't breaking down, not because the journey was faultless and it was easy for me to navigate that healing. But I learned that I could do hard things because I showed up to do them, even if it was imperfectly. Even if I broke down. Even if I felt tender. No matter how soft I felt, no matter how lost I felt, I woke up in the morning and I did whatever I had to do to tuck light in between my bones. I did whatever I had to do in order to remind myself that goodness existed here, that I was capable of finding it, that there were always going to be things that made it okay, that I was going to be strong enough to live without her, that I was going to be strong enough to become the person I told her I would be, that I was going to be strong enough to let go and walk away and ask for what I needed and to stand up for myself and my heart and the life I wanted to live, no matter how difficult that was for me and no matter how much doubt crept into my life. And so now I get to remind you the way she reminded me. You can do hard things. The thing that you're thinking about right now, the thing you think you can't survive, the thing you think will never feel calm, the way in which you think the hope will never crack within your chest again, I promise that is not the case. That is not going to be your life. Whatever you do, you just have to believe that. Just do anything you can do to believe that. Keep going. Nothing is going to defeat you. Nothing has the capacity to destroy you unless you give it the power to do so. Keep going. You're going to look back on these moments in your future and you are going to be so glad that you trusted in your healing. You are going to be so glad that you chose to believe that there was more for you. Because there is so much more for you. And that perfectly sets up my next point, which is one of the biggest lessons I learned in watching my mother fight her battle. One of the things she would get so feverish about teaching me and making sure that I remembered. Like, I remember her telling me certain things and her pointing to my notebook and like shaking her finger at it and being like, write this down. I need you to remember this. I need to know that you know this, that you're holding this in your heart. And this lesson was that life was truly, truly just meant to be lived. And that you have to chase the things that life ignites you. You have to do the things that bring you joy. You have to surround yourself with the people who bring you home to yourself, with the people who respect you and nurture you in ways that make you feel like you are worthy and accepted and loved. And you have to do the work to heal yourself, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, so that you do not continue to approach your life within the boundary of what is heavy within you. You have to put yourself out there, and you cannot worry about what other people think. You cannot rob yourself of experience or happiness or inspiration because you are scared of how you will be perceived. You have to be unapologetic in the way that you exist here. You have to believe that your ideas and your hope and your being deserves to take up space. You have to believe that you have purpose here. Because, and I say this in the most freeing way, we are all living on borrowed time. Our existence is finite, scientifically, biologically. That is just a fact of life. But we live as if we are promised the experiences and the potential we're chasing. We live as if we have control over what happens to us. But we don't, and that's liberating because it's pressing. It wakes you up when you connect with that. You are not promised tomorrow. So how are you going to ensure that you crash your heart into your life? How are you going to ensure that you leave this world, whenever it happens for you, with a soul that is tender and full and weathered in the best way? With a soul that was never asked to make itself smaller? With a soul that was never waiting for the day it was skinnier or prettier or cooler or more successful in order to take advantage of the time it had been given? That is what losing my mother taught me. That we cannot wait to be the people we have always dreamed of being. We cannot wait for life to be perfect. There is no right time. There is no perfect circumstance. We have to leap even when our legs are shaking. We have to show up for ourselves. Not in 3 months or 5 years or 10 years, but now. Now. Because every single day is a blessing. Every single day is a gift. We cannot lose sight of that. Okay. Whew. That's it. And those are the lessons. Obviously, I said I have like 15 journals just filled with lessons that my mom and I worked through and that she wanted me to remember forever. And maybe I'll do another episode like this if all of you really enjoyed it. But these were the lessons that really stuck out to me and that really helped to shape me into the kind of person that I've become and into the kind of person that I'm becoming, and using those little reminders and affirmations each and every day to help with my healing and my growth. So I hope wherever you are on your journey and whatever you needed to hear today, that something kind of hit your heart and that something inspired you, and that in a way my mom could show up for you and share her heart with you the way that she shared it with me, because that's how we spread love into the world. And that's how people live on. So I really hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Thank you so much for being with me talking about all of this stuff today. And yeah, I hope you're staying safe, and I will see you next week.